My kids will have to change schools.
I have only been hit one time.
I can't support a family by myself.
I'll get deported.
I caused it. I deserve this.
It's not really rape if you're in a relationship or married.
But it's not physical.
These are a few of the myths that may prevent survivors from seeking a safe and healthy home. Since the start of the COVID-19 pandemic, incidents of domestic violence have increased between the offending parents and survivors in this country.
In response to the increase in domestic violence incidents, the Allen Superior Court Family Relations Division began meeting with a team of community stakeholders to develop a problem-solving court that would be helpful for survivors and their children, as well as those who engage in acts of domestic violence. As a result of those discussions, a new family domestic violence court was created.
For purposes of the Family Domestic Violence Court, we're defining domestic violence as the willful intimidation, physical assault, battery, sexual assault, and/or abusive behavior as part of a systemic pattern of power and control, perpetrated by one intimate partner against another. It includes physical violence, sexual violence, threats, and emotional abuse. The frequency and severity of domestic violence can vary dramatically.
The Allen Superior Court has brought a team of community stakeholders as well as our family domestic violence staffing team together to film this groundbreaking family domestic violence court video. You will see these individuals playing various roles throughout the video. The purpose is to explain the court process as well as policies and procedures so that you understand how the court operates.
The Allen Superior Court received provisional certification to operate its Family Domestic Violence Court on February 23, 2023. The mission of the new Family DVC is to reduce the risk of violence in families by empowering survivors and assisting those who have engaged in acts of domestic violence by providing resources to achieve a safe and healthy family.
Now, I'm going to take just a few minutes to tell you a little bit more about the court so that you know how it will work for you and your family. The Family Domestic Violence Court is intended to be an 8 to 24-month program where participants, both survivors and offending parents, will get a chance to participate in services that are designed to help them to achieve a safe and healthy family. In order to participate in the court, a participant must be a parent, guardian, or custodian of a child who's been found to be a child in need of services. They must be willing to acknowledge that there's been an act of domestic violence from a parent or caregiver to another parent or caregiver, or from a parent or caregiver to a child. Or they must at least be willing to acknowledge that they need help in managing stressors, mental health, or other issues in their lives. They must be willing to participate in the domestic violence problem-solving court, and they cannot be a participant in any other problem-solving court. Lastly, the approval of the Family Domestic Violence Court judge is needed. There are 3 phases in the Family Domestic Violence Court program. In the first phase, the person will focus on obtaining a safe home environment. If they're a survivor of domestic violence, we will help them connect with a domestic violence advocate if they're willing to do so. They will participate in assessments that will help us to find out what their needs are and how we can help them. And they will begin to schedule appointments for the services that are identified as being needed in the assessments that they've completed. Participants will appear in court on a weekly basis so that they can receive support and encouragement from the Family Domestic Violence Court team. We anticipate that a person will be in phase 1 of the program for about 30 days. Prior to the person advancing to phase 2 of the program, they will be asked to complete a phase advancement report where they will talk about what they've learned so far through their participation in the program. The court will discuss their participation and progress with them at each hearing that they attend. In the second phase of the program, the person will focus on participating in the services that were recommended from the assessments that they completed in the first phase of the program. They will come to court on a bi-weekly basis for hearings. The staffing team will review the case at bi-weekly staffings and decide whether any incentives, sanctions, or therapeutic adjustments are necessary. After a person has made enough progress in phase 2 of the program, the staffing team may recommend that the person be moved to phase 3 of the program. Before moving to phase 3, the person will be asked to write a paragraph about their progress in phase 2 and what they've learned from their participation in the program so far. The court will discuss their progress and compliance with them at the hearing. In phase 3 of the program, the participant must demonstrate sustained or continued compliance with services. They will come to court hearings about every 3 to 4 weeks and must show that they have suitable and stable housing for themselves and their children, and that they have resources, both financial and otherwise, to support themselves and their children. When it's determined that they have addressed the reasons for the Department of Child Services involvement, the staffing team may determine that they have successfully participated in the Family Domestic Violence Court and that they've completed all necessary requirements. They will need to prepare a paragraph where they discuss their progress with services and what they've learned from their participation in the program, and the court will discuss the report with them at a court hearing. We will then schedule a graduation ceremony that will celebrate the participants' successful completion of the program. Throughout the term of the program, participants will receive incentives, sanctions, and therapeutic adjustments. The incentives for positive participation and progress in the Family Domestic Violence Court will be decided by the staffing team based upon a person's positive progress. Incentives include verbal praise from the providers, the Department of Child Services, and the court. They may receive recognition in court in the form of a handshake from the judge, or a round of applause from the courtroom, or a certificate of accomplishment. They may receive a letter of progress from the judge. They could receive care cash for the purchase of incentives such as gas cards, gift cards, and toiletries. There could be less frequent contacts from the Department of Child Services and the court as an incentive, or there could be a fishbowl drawing, which is a chance to pull a ticket out of the fishbowl for incentives such as a gift card for a dollar amount that is higher than what they would normally receive. The ultimate incentive is a graduation ceremony that we'll talk about in a few minutes. Sanctions for failure to comply with the requirements of the Family Domestic Violence Court will be decided by the staffing team. Sanctions will be progressive in nature and include a verbal warning from the court, providers, or the Department of Child Services, and this would occur as soon as possible after the offensive behavior and would be respectful and clear. They might be asked to write a paragraph where they explain their actions that led to the noncompliance, along with giving an apology. They could be required to restart or delay a service. They could have increased court appearances, or they could be unable to move to the next phase because of their noncompliance. The participant could be asked to sign a jeopardy agreement, which is an agreement that they sign with the court, where they acknowledge what the court's expectations are and the potential consequences of failure to follow those expectations. A contempt proceeding could be pursued. That's where a court decides whether a person is willfully disobeying the court's orders. They would have a right to be represented by an attorney for that hearing. If the court decided that the person is willfully disobeying court orders, one of the consequences that the court could give them is jail time. The ultimate consequence for failure to follow a court order is program termination. When the staffing team decides that a participant has successfully completed all of the requirements of the Family Domestic Violence Court and that they have a safe and stable home and a way of caring for themselves and their children, the staffing team will certify a participant for graduation, and a graduation ceremony will be scheduled and held. At the ceremony, the graduates will hear from an inspirational speaker, and their accomplishments will be celebrated. The Child in Need of Services case will likely be closed sometime after the person's successful completion of the Family Domestic Violence Court's requirements. Our court, community stakeholders, and staffing team look forward to working with you in our newly created Family Domestic Violence Court, which is the first of its kind in our state. We look forward to working with you, supporting you, and helping you to achieve a safe and healthy home and family.